Good afternoon and welcome back to episode 11 of Beyond the Devastation. My name is John Perez. I will be your host for the next couple of minutes. And today we're talking about beyond the new year. And, when you struggle with mental health, as I have, and been through a lot, as I have, the new year could be challenging, to say the least. It could be a challenge. And it's a challenge because what's really going to change from December 31st to January 1st? Besides the calendar, besides I got to figure out now how to write my checks for the first 3 months of the year. Instead of putting 21, I got to put 22. Besides, it's a new fiscal year. What really changes with me on the inside? That's really the devastation part. Because for me, in my life, from 12/31 to January 1, nothing really changed. I would walk into the same house back then. Still had 3 kids. Still had a job. Still had the same house. And my mortgage was due January 1st. What changed? What was going to change? What has changed? Absolutely nothing. So how do I get beyond the new year? Well, that's where I really struggled. And I believe a lot of us struggle at this point, figuring out, does January 1st, all of a sudden, all this pixie dust land on my head and somebody waves a magic wand and boom, all my problems are gone? They're not. And that's been my biggest problem is that, and talking to people about their issues and their concerns from 12/31 to 1/1 of any given year, nothing really changes. Nothing really changes. So I really struggled because for me in January, I'd pray to God. I said, Lord, is this the year that I'm finally going to be free? Is this the year that I'm finally going to be free? And that would be my constant prayer. I'd walk into January saying, man, this is the year things are going to break for me. This is the year I'm finally going to be free of all of my problems, all of my concerns, all of my issues. They're going to be fixed. And by February, I'd be saying, it's just another year. It's just another year. And it's been that way. It was that way for a long, long, long time. It's just another year. So I came into this year saying, well, how do I not have the same disposition? How do I not have the same outlook? How do I change the way I want to see things going forward? Well, for me, as I was praying, I was asking God, look, I need, what's the theme for 22? And I was closing out Sunday service, and I'll tell you, it came to me as clear as a bell, charting a new direction. So beyond the new year, I'm charting a new direction. I started my own business. We're going to be doing a leadership training. We're praying for breakthroughs in 22. I'm doing mentorship training and mentorship counseling now. We're hoping that expands in 22. Some of my roles I'm hoping will grow in 22. So my direction is completely different than it's ever been before. I've got a great wife, got a great home. I got 3 great kids. My son, God willing, in 22 will be going to law school. My middle child got married. I have a son-in-law. My oldest child, all 3 of my kids got degrees. I mean, it's great. But for me, I needed a course correction. I needed to get my compass out, get my map. And the 3 things I was talking to the church about, you need a sextant, you need a compass, and you need your map, right? The sextant was to look and chart the sky, right? Look at the stars and look at the sky to chart the direction you want it to go, right? And then you got a map. And then you got a compass to kind of lay everything out, right? To be able to measure. Well, those are the most important things we're going to need going into 22. Because, see, we need to find a direction for this year. Beyond 22 and the years to come, how are you going to go into the new year? Because for me, I'm going into the new year with a renewed mind, a renewed heart, a renewed focus, a renewed vision, and renewed friendships. Why? Because I needed something that was different than every other year. See, here's the problem I found for me, and I can only talk about me because that's the only one that's here, is that without changing the way my outlook was going to be, my outlook would always be the same. So I decided that how do I change my outlook? Change my direction. It's the hardest thing in the world to do is change your direction, especially when you've been used to going in the same way. Look, I get up in the morning. What do? Hit the coffee machine, which is, put my Dunkin' Donuts in there, have my coffee. I'm basically a robot in the morning. I get up, clean up, coffee, start the day, parked at my computer. Well, because of the winter, I don't get out and walk 3 miles a day, which kind of sucks, right? That's a part of my routine. So I have to change my course and my direction. So now I got to walk around the house for 3 miles. I got to walk up and down the stairs to get my cardio. I've got to change my direction to still accomplish the same mission. How do we go beyond the new year? Look, I explained it in the intro. I have spent 56, 7 years of my life going into the next new year saying, this is the year. And then 30 days in, it's saying, yeah, no, it's not. This is not the year. It's the same year that I just got out of. What's different? Beyond the fact that I changed the letter after on my checkbook or the letter that shows up on my calendar and my inbox, what is different? I've got to be different. I've got to change. I've got to look at things differently. I've got to set out and chart a new direction for my life, because if I don't, it's going to be the same year that I just came out. It's basically going to be the Bill Murray Groundhog Day. If you ever watched the movie, it's pretty funny. But you're having the same day over and over and over again. Well, you're having the same year over and over again because we haven't addressed the issue of the real problem. The real problem is that we keep on carrying all of our junk from one year to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And by the time we're done, we've been inundated with all of our problems. So how do we fix the problem? You start letting go of the problem. If anger is your problem, and it's been mine, I'm not afraid to say it. If anger is your problem, you find out where the root of the problem is. If depression is your problem, we got to get to the bottom of it. Look, it might be that you're so angry with God that you have not been able to escape your problem. That's the person that you need to address. God, I'm so angry with you because I've never been able to get out of this box. Well, I'd rather be honest with God and tell him that I'm angry with him and be upset and hurt than rather hold it. God is a compassionate God. You know what? He'll understand your problem if you just tell him what the problem is. Look, I have had my fair share of issues. I have not been the best dad. I have not been the best father. I've not been the best husband. I've not been the best friend. But I'm learning that I have to fix me to get me better so I can address all of these other outside issues. Because I got to address the internal issues first. I'm charting a new direction for 22. That's my theme for me. And that's what I put on and passed around to everybody that'll listen. We got to chart a new direction because the old direction is not getting us where we need to go. So how do we move forward? Get your map out. Get your compass out. Get a pencil. start drawing and figuring out where you want to go. Where do I want to go in my career? Where do I want to go as a husband? Where do I want to go as a wife? Where do I want to go as a sibling? Where do I want to go in my marriage? And I think that we've got to start addressing the very one that's the hardest one to deal with. So maybe your marriage is messed up. I need a new direction. I need a new course. I need a new way to go. So maybe it's having that conversation with yourself saying, you know what? I haven't been exactly the best husband in the world. And I need help. Now, the great news is there's a lot of resources out there. My wife and I use Focus on the Family as one. There's, Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts with Dr. Les and Dr. Les, right? Perot, great resource for saving your marriage. There's a lot of counselors out there that can help if you want to be helped. Maybe you're having problems on your job that I keep on getting passed up for that promotion. I've done the job. I've done the work, but nobody sees me. Nobody can hear me. Well, maybe it's time for you to go have a one-on-one with your boss and be honest, saying, okay, Joe, I've been working for you for 5 years and I want to go to the next level and I'm trying to grow and I'd like you to be my mentor. You might floor him right there. But I think that you need to go in with an attitude of humility to figure out what are the next steps you need to grow in this company. And the great news is he might give it to you. So we've talked about your marriage. We talked about your job. What about you and your siblings? Are you the best brother or sister? Are you the one that's always the one causing the problems? Or are you the one that always has the solution? I got 3 other siblings. I got 3 beautiful sisters. And we all have the A-type personality. Put us all in a room. It's a tough room. It's a tough room. It really is a tough room. But we were raised by a single mom who taught us how to be independent and survive. But we don't have the greatest relationship that we should. I don't have the answers to fix that, but I'm hoping that in 22 we can chisel away at it. But I know that I got to start with me first. And how do I get better? I'm the oldest. I'm going to be 58 and 22. Can't believe I'm actually going to be 58. Born in 64. I'm an old dude. But I want to be a better brother. Well, it starts with me being a better listener. I think I'm going to have to hear some things I don't want to hear. I think I'm going to have to hear things that you know what, John, you haven't been the greatest thing in the whole wide world. You might think so, but you're not. And I think we got to clear the air, right? Because I think we got to take the room and take the building and do a demolition. Bring it down to its foundation so that we can rebuild. Because beyond 22, I got to get there. I got to chart a new course. I got to go a new way. I've got to figure out, because the ways that I've been going aren't working. They're not working. So what do I have to do with my siblings? I think I got to take the foundation and level it down. I know how I can be. I know who I am. And I know what I've done. And I'll own it. And I think I have to. Because I want to see my siblings and I have a relationship that is necessary to go forward. Because I believe, look, my mom has spent her life praying for her kids. I think it's up for me now to really demonstrate that love that my mom put in. But beyond this year, I got to go in the next year not carrying the same junk. Because I've been carrying the same junk forever. How do I get better? I got to get better. I see my friend Dr. Johnson's on. She wrote a dissertation for her doctorate on self-care. And some of the practices in there are great. First, she talked about journaling and kind of writing down some of the stuff. But I think it's also an acknowledgement that that we've had some issues. I got issues. I'm the first one to own it. I've done a better job of owning it in 21 than I ever did in any other year of my life. I've sought help. I've gotten help. I'm getting help. Why? Because I made a commitment to my wife that I was going to be a better husband, a better communicator, a better father, a better friend, just a better adult. That's what I'm at that point. I just want to be a better adult. But I know that carrying the junk from 21 and beyond those years into 22 is the biggest mistake I'm ever going to make. So how did I do it? Look, I'll be honest. I had to seek help. I had to go talk to a counselor. I had to find, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing right? Where did I go wrong? Where did I do wrong? And I decided for myself that was the best thing to do. Oh, men don't do that. That's why men have problems. Men don't talk about their feelings. That's why men got problems. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. And I think the sooner we identify that it's a sign of strength, guess what? More men will talk about it. And we'll reduce the suicides that are happening amongst pastors if we talk about some of the issues that we've got. That's me. So, beyond the new year, that was kind of the episode for today, episode 11. Beyond the new year. How do we get beyond the new year? We start today. We deal with depression. We deal with melancholy. We deal with thoughts of killing yourself. I heard T.D. Jakes say this, and I thought it was great. When we look to end our life, we're allowing the devil to steal our future. I had to borrow it because it's that good. Look, a friend of mine called me the other day, and he said that a 16-year-old boy, 16, killed himself. His dad went home early thinking he would surprise him, and the dad got a surprise. Found his son dead. Can you imagine that devastation? In and around the holidays, and your child is lifeless in front of you. I've got 3 beautiful children. I can't even imagine. I couldn't even imagine burying one of my children. Can't even imagine. So, let's go back to the order, right? I think that I think that we got to own the problem. We got to acknowledge the problem. I acknowledge it. We're doing this study with Chip Ingram, and it's called Overcoming the Emotions That Can Destroy. Great book. I'd encourage you to read it. Great study. Regardless if it's secular, non-secular, it doesn't matter because it's applicable. Here's what he wrote. You've got to acknowledge, then we got to backtrack. Where did it all come from? Then we got to consider the cause. What consider the cost? I say cost, but the cause as well. Then we got to deal with it. So acknowledge, backtrack, consideration, and D for deal. So A, B, C, D. Acknowledge. Yep, I'm an angry dude, and I don't even know why I'm angry. Well, let's backtrack and figure out why. Why are you so angry? A lot of it can be visited back to your childhood. Mom beat you half to death. Mom ignored you. You were hurt. You were dismissed. You were treated like nothing. All of these lead to that. But if we don't deal with it, 22 is going to be a mirror of 21. So I wanted to come on and encourage somebody going into, this is Wednesday, a couple days before the new year. I wanted to encourage somebody to say, please, don't let your 21 be like your 22. Chart a new course. Chart a new way. Find a new direction. For me, it's God. You know, I thank God for him helping me through some rigorous times in my life. B, he gave me a wife that understands me. C, he gave me a church that I get to be a servant leader in. So for me, I've been blessed to have friends that hold me up. But I really want to stress this. You got to love yourself so you can love others. I know it's like, that's nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun. You've got to find love in yourself. Because look, part of the anger for me was because of the devastation that I suffered as a child. Abused at the hands of a relative. Neglected. Thrown away. Told I'd be nothing. Told I'd be worthless. But I'm here at 57 and a few days away from being 58 to telling you that my life has been changed. Because my wife often has to remind me of this. The success is on my life. And I am a success. And I have to say that to myself. I am a success. And I believe that you're going to have to say that to yourself. I am loved. I love me. If nobody else loves me, I love me. I love who I am. And I am going to get better at what I am. And if you don't love yourself, I'm here to find you. I'm here to tell you that there's a compassionate God that loves you. And he loves you more than you know. Because, see, the reason we're celebrating this Christmas season is because it was more than sending his son to just be born in the manger. It was sending his son to make the ultimate sacrifice of his own life so that we could have life. So, in these next couple seconds, I just want to say this. Acknowledge, backtrack, consideration, and then deal with it so that you can go into 22 with a great life, not a life that you feel is just a carbon copy of what you just came out of in 21. Thank you so much for listening today. I'll be back next week with episode 12. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Hey, by the way, forgot to make this great announcement. You can now find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. We are prime time, and we are now able for you to download our podcast right on any of these three. Have a great day. Have a happy New Year.